Greetings everyone. In this video I want to talk about how many source players open their mouth and they say things when they would be better off keeping their mouth shut and just not speaking.
Greetings! This infinite source truth is made possible by the generous contributions and support of viewers like you. Please consider making a contribution now. Thank you.
Now, what am I talking about? I'm talking about, especially with the holidays and possible family gatherings and conversations with relatives, sometimes you bring problems and difficulties on yourself by inserting yourself into conversations that you should just be listening to and not participating in. The desire to get involved in other people's disputes or opinions or whatever, to try to impress them with your knowledge or your skills or whatever. What is that? What is that is causing you to leap before you think or speak before you think? What is it? Is it because you want to rescue somebody? Is it because you have information that you want to share? Is it because of your ego? Because you're impressed with your abilities and your thinking, and so therefore you want to impress others? Or, what is the reasoning behind it, number one? And if you start talking about the matrix or about your choice of foods to eat or not eat, and all of this stuff, is it beneficial for you? You need to be asking your source self. Many of you are sharing more information than you should be sharing. Some of you don't get it. Some of you, you're talking to low frequency source players and they don't get it. They're not searching. They're not looking for it on their own. And so you are risking your own progress by trying to drag them along when they are not ready and they're not searching, and they can cause problems for you in your journey. A low frequency source player is a low frequency source player, and it has been my experience that you can try to help them and they can want to try to help themselves, but they seem to be so strong-headed that they just don't get it. They're their own worst enemies. And you can't help source players like that. They'll suck energy out of you with their cares and their worries and their lives, and they can never add back to you anywhere near what they robbed from you, what you allow them to rob from you. All right? What you allow them to take from you. Boundaries are important in this game. And if you give boundaries to someone and they don't listen, there's consequences. And sometimes you may allow them a second chance or a third chance or a fourth chance, and they still keep ignoring boundaries that you have set. Well, then you just have to cut them off. You have to cut off communication with them. You have to just, and they're going to have to live with the consequences of their choices of ignoring you and doing what they please. Some of you have skill sets that are really awesome. You have abilities, and you should make the most of those abilities and to hone them to get them even stronger. But you also need to be aware that maybe your skill and ability level is not as awesome as you personally think it is. And if you overestimate your abilities, it is not benefiting you in your game. And if you're overestimating your abilities, is it your ego? And then I also have to ask, does your ego need to be stroked? Do you need to go on and on about yourself to others, explaining how good you are at this or that, or how you're living your life? Or do you really need to do that? What benefit does it do you? What benefit does it do the person listening? Do they really care about your life and hearing every little detail about it? Your game is more interesting to you than it is to anyone else. And many of you bring problems and troubles into your experience because you open your mouth and you put yourself out there and you share information that people are not ready to hear, and then they turn on you and you get to experience the consequences of your oversharing. If you have the habit of just being loose-mouthed and just saying anything and everything that comes to your mind and not really listening to other people, or not really caring about what other people have to say, why would you think that they care about what you have to say? Many people share their opinions with people that have not asked for your opinion on what they're talking about. But you're going to put your 2 cents in because you want to, and you weren't asked. And sometimes when you're asked for your opinion, sometimes it's good to not have an opinion, because it really has nothing to do with you. Play the game smart. You don't have to share everything about your life with every person you come across, or even your family members. They don't need to know everything that's going on in your life. And if they're soulless ones, well, that can be tricky. And if they're source players and they're not a higher frequency source player, then that can be really tricky too. Make smart choices. Choices that will benefit you in your game. Don't be making poor choices. Don't overshare information that you shouldn't be sharing in the first place. Especially now with families starting to get back together again to celebrate holidays. And some of you can use the excuse of the world stage to not join in with your families if you so choose. All choices. And all choices have consequences. Make the best choices for yourself. For yourself. Not anyone else. Make the best choices for yourself and your game experience. Make the choices that benefit you. Now, if you find the work that I've done in the Matrix and the information that I share to be of benefit to you, then it benefits you to say thank you via gift, via PayPal. The link is in the description box below. Abundance, health, and prosperity to you.